Welcome back to Newsletter Growth Lab, the podcast where we unpack the tools, tactics, and psychology behind what actually makes newsletters grow. In today's episode, we're diving into the most underrated part of any email or piece of content: the opening line. That tiny sentence at the top? It decides everything. Scroll or read, ignore or click. We'll show you why your opener isn't just the beginning. It's the moment you win or lose attention. How many great emails or articles have you stopped reading simply because the first line didn't hook you?
It happens all the time. A weak opener makes everything that follows invisible.
That first sentence is your invitation. It's the handshake, the spark, the moment someone decides to stay or leave.
Most people underestimate it. They think the body does the heavy lifting. But the truth? No one reads the body if the beginning doesn't pull them in.
So let's talk about how to write openers that actually work. Openers that grab attention and create momentum.
You don't need to be a genius to write a good hook. You just need to understand what your reader cares about.
Start with emotion. What would make someone feel something in the first 5 words?
A surprise? A question? A relatable confession?
Here's one technique. Lead with tension. Say something unexpected. Something that makes people curious, even confused, for a split second.
For example, I almost quit yesterday. It's short, dramatic, and instantly creates a question in the reader's mind.
Or try contradiction. Say something that sounds wrong at first. Then explain it. Like, the best advice I ever got was terrible.
Another approach? Clarity. Just say what the reader is already thinking, but say it better and sharper.
You can also lean into vulnerability. Something honest, raw, human. I'm scared to admit this, but that kind of line pulls people in.
These are what we call open loops. They beg to be closed. That's what keeps people reading or listening.
The goal of the opener isn't to say everything, it's to create a reason to keep going.
You don't need gimmicks. You need resonance. Something that lands. Something that lingers.
So here's a simple challenge. Write 3 versions of your opener.
One that's safe. One that's bold. One that's weird.
Then step back, read them out loud, and ask, which one would make me keep reading?
You'll usually know. One of them will just have that little spark. Trust that gut feeling.
And if none of them feel right, walk away for a bit. Let your brain reset. Sometimes your best opener shows up when you stop trying so hard.
Another great trick is this. Imagine someone forwarded your content to a friend, and that friend only sees your first line.
Would that one sentence make them want to read more?
That's your test. Strip away all context. Does that line stand strong on its own?
Because the truth is, openers live in isolation. People scroll fast. They skim. They don't owe you attention.
You have to earn every second. And that starts with the very first line.
So writing a great opener? It's not about flair. It's about clarity, empathy, and intention.
And most importantly, it's about reps. So many reps.
The more you practice writing openers, the more naturally your brain starts thinking in hooks.
You'll start hearing them in everyday conversations. You'll spot them in headlines, in podcasts, in tweets.
Eventually, your mind becomes a magnet for lines that grab attention. That's when writing starts to feel intuitive.
It's like developing a radar for resonance. Once you have it, you start writing with way more confidence.
And here's another angle to play with. Steal structure, not words. Notice how great openers are built, then remix them in your own style.
Let's say you see an opener like, "The mistake I kept repeating for 5 years." You don't copy that sentence, but you use that frame.
The curiosity, the tension, the hook.
You might rewrite it as, "What I did wrong every Monday morning for a year." Same mechanics, different voice.
That's how you build muscle as a writer. You learn from what works, and you make it your own.
And once you get the hang of that, your content begins to sound like you. That's where the magic happens.
Because now your openers aren't just grabbing attention, they're building trust and personality.
People begin to recognize your rhythm. They click because they know you'll deliver something worth their time.
And over time, that consistency compounds. Strong openers become your signature.
It's the first sign that your writing is thoughtful, sharp, and intentional.
And when you develop that voice, you stop sounding like everyone else.
Your content cuts through, even in crowded inboxes, busy feeds, noisy platforms.
Because clarity always wins. Not just cleverness, not just style, but clarity with a pulse.
And that's what great openers do. They pulse, they tap into something real, and they don't let go.
So let's recap some of the types of openers that work: tension, contradiction, vulnerability, clarity, confession, and bold statements.
Each one serves a different tone, but all share one job: getting the reader to stop scrolling and start reading.
And sometimes it's not about being loud, it's about being precise. A well placed whisper can be louder than a scream.
Consider starting with a number. 3 seconds. That's all it took to change everything. Numbers add weight. They're specific and punchy.
Or try a challenge. If you do this one thing every morning, you'll write better all day. You're inviting curiosity with a promise.
Another style? The quick story hook. She was late again, but this time something was different. It's cinematic. People want to know what happens next.
You can also go ultra minimal, one word, one sentence, regret, or this almost didn't get written. Short and loaded.
These aren't formulas, they're formats. Use them as tools, not crutches.
The real secret is knowing your audience. What makes them lean in? What sparks their curiosity, their emotion, their urgency?
Because when you write from that place, not for everyone, but for someone specific, your openers start to click.
That's when your writing stops feeling generic and starts feeling intentional.
You're not just writing to fill space. You're writing to start a conversation.
And conversations begin with something compelling, something human.
That's why you should test your openers out loud. Say them to a friend. Read them to yourself. If it feels flat, it probably is.
Openers should have energy. They should sound like something you'd hear in a great story, not a textbook.
Another powerful trick: inversion. Say the opposite of what people expect. Why writing more won't make you a better writer? Boom. Instant curiosity.
You can also start with a myth and break it. Everyone says content is king. They're wrong. Now, people want to know why.
Use contrast. Use surprise. Use truth that feels dangerous to say out loud.
These are the levers that make people pay attention, not just with their eyes, but with their brain.
And when you activate the brain, you create investment. That's when your reader isn't just skimming, they're thinking.
That's the real goal of a strong opener. Not just to hook attention, but to ignite engagement.
It turns passive readers into active ones. And once someone's mind is engaged, they're far more likely to keep reading, share, or act.
So let's not overcomplicate it. Start with a feeling, a spark, a hunch.
What would you want to read if you were scrolling past this?
Because if it doesn't move you, it won't move anyone else. Your instincts matter more than any writing rule.
You're not a robot. And your readers aren't either. They want something real.
So be real, honest, clear, and a little daring.
That combo? It's the cheat code for writing openers that stand out.
And if you ever feel stuck, zoom out. Ask yourself, what's the core emotion behind this piece?
Is it curiosity? Urgency? Relief? Excitement? Tap into that emotion and let it drive the first line.
Let the tone of the opener match the tone of the content. Don't bait with drama if the piece is calm and educational.
Consistency builds trust. And when readers trust your tone, they're more willing to go wherever you lead them.
This is where rhythm starts to matter. Some openers need a sharp jab, others need a slow reveal.
That rhythm, how your words move, is part of the hook. It sets the pace, the mood, the flow.
Short, punchy, pauses. These matter just as much as the words themselves.
Use line breaks. Use space. Let your structure breathe.
Because when the brain sees open space, it relaxes, and a relaxed brain is more open to being guided.
That's why formatting matters just as much as phrasing. No one wants to read a dense wall of text, no matter how brilliant it is.
Make it easy to consume, easy to start, easy to stay with.
Think of your opener like a door. Is it wide open? Or is it a confusing maze of words?
If you're writing for a distracted audience, and most of us are, simplicity is your best friend.
Simplicity doesn't mean dumbing things down. It means removing friction.
It means making your reader's job easier so they can focus on the feeling of your message.
Because at the end of the day, good writing isn't just understood, it's felt.
And the opener is your first shot at making someone feel something.
Use it well, and they'll trust you to take them further.
So, how do you actually build a habit around this?
Start every piece you write by crafting 5 different openers.
Yes, 5. Not because you'll use them all, but because the first one is usually safe, the second is warmed up, and by the third or fourth, you've hit something interesting.
This small discipline trains your creativity like a muscle.
And the more reps you get in, the faster you'll find your voice, your edge, your angle.
Some of your best hooks won't come from sitting still. They'll hit while you're walking, showering, or halfway through a completely different task.
Capture them. Keep a running list. Treat hooks like assets.
Because that's what they are. Attention assets. Tiny lines that have big impact.
And over time, that collection becomes a treasure chest for future content.
And whenever you're stuck, you can dig into that chest and pull something out.
That's how the pros do it. They don't wait for inspiration. They build systems around creativity.
Writing great openers becomes a lot easier when you stop treating it like a magical moment and start treating it like a process.
You study what works. You practice it. You remix it. You ship it.
And most importantly, you reflect on it.
Did people respond? Did they scroll past? Did they click?
Every piece of feedback is fuel. It tells you what resonated and what missed the mark.
And when you start listening to that data, not just metrics, but emotions, you get better, faster.
You stop guessing and start knowing.
That's where the real growth happens, not just in your writing, but in your understanding of your audience.
Because writing isn't just about expression, it's about connection.
Openers are the first bridge between you and the person on the other side of the screen.
Make that bridge strong. Make it real. Make it exciting to cross.
And when people walk across that bridge, they're more open to everything you have to say next.
So don't treat openers like throwaways. They're not a warm-up. They're the main event.
Get them right, and you change the way people experience your content.
They'll remember how you made them feel right from the start.
And in a world full of noise, that kind of memory is power.
So let's get practical again. Keep a swipe file. Screenshots, snippets, headlines, openers that made you pause.
Don't just collect them. Analyze them. What worked? Why did it hit you?
Then flip them. Try writing your own version of each one.
You're not stealing. You're studying. You're reverse engineering what resonates.
Because once you understand the mechanics behind attention, you can start building it on command.
You stop relying on luck. You start crafting impact.
And the more openers you write, the more fluent you become in the language of emotion and attention.
It's no different from learning music. The more you play, the more your ear develops.
Soon, you'll just know when a line has that rhythm, that tension, that punch.
And when you know what a good line feels like, writing becomes way more fun.
You're not forcing words. You're shaping energy.
That's why some openers feel electric. It's not just the words, it's the charge behind them.
You can feel when a writer is excited about what they're saying. That energy transfers.
And you can also feel when someone's going through the motions. That shows too.
So check in with yourself. Are you into what you're writing?
If not, your opener probably won't land. Start with the thing that does excite you, even if it feels risky.
That spark is what your reader is really looking for.
They want to feel something real. Give them that, and they'll follow you anywhere.
And here's something else to remember. Your first draft opener probably isn't the best one.
That's normal. Don't get attached to the first thing you write.
Sometimes you need to write the entire piece before you find the right beginning.
It might be buried halfway down your draft, waiting to be lifted to the top.
So after writing, Go back and read with fresh eyes. Ask yourself, does this start where the reader wants to begin?
Or does it start where you started thinking?
There's often a gap. Close it. Bring the reader right to the good part.
That edit alone can transform the entire feel of your content.
Because great writing is often about subtraction, cutting the fluff, clearing the noise, sharpening the edge.
You don't need more words. You need the right words in the right order.
Sometimes that means cutting your favorite line because it slows the momentum.
That's tough, but necessary. The opener's job is to serve the reader, not your ego.
So be ruthless. If the first line doesn't grip, delete it.
Rewrite until it sings. You'll know when it does.
It will feel tight, punchy, alive.
And if it doesn't feel that way yet, you're not done.
That's not failure. It's part of the craft.
It means you care. It means you're treating the reader's attention like a gift, not a guarantee.
That mindset alone separates great writers from average ones.
When you value the reader's time, your writing changes. It becomes sharper, braver, more generous.
And readers can feel that. They don't always know why, but they feel it.
That's why great openers feel effortless, even though they're carefully built.
They carry weight. They create space. And they open the door to something meaningful.
So don't rush them, don't bury them, and definitely don't write them last minute.
Give your opener the energy it deserves, and it'll pay you back every time.
Because once you've earned that first click, you've earned the chance to do something unforgettable.
That's the exchange. One line of attention for a shot at trust, impact, even transformation.
It's a small moment with huge potential.
And that potential begins the second your reader reads the first word.
So be intentional. Be brave. Be bold enough to write something that matters from the very first sentence.
You don't need to shout. You just need to mean it.
Even a whisper, if it's honest, can echo louder than a scream.
When you understand that, you stop chasing gimmicks and start leaning into authenticity.
Because no opener beats the truth told well.
It's timeless. It cuts through. It connects.
And when you consistently lead with that kind of honesty, readers come back for more.
They remember how you made them feel.
They remember that you didn't waste their time.
That's the real metric. Not likes, not clicks, but trust.
And trust is built one opener at a time.
Each first line is a promise, a tiny contract that says, "This will be worth your time."
Keep that promise, and you won't just get readers, you'll build a loyal audience.
An audience that opens your emails, reads your posts, shares your work.
Not because you tricked them, but because you respected them.
So if you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. Your opener is more than just an introduction. It's a signal.
It tells your reader who you are, what you stand for, and why they should care.
It's your chance to start a conversation that doesn't feel like content, but like connection.
And in a noisy world, connection is rare, valuable, worth striving for.
So take the extra minute, write the better line, sharpen the thought, feel the moment.
Because attention isn't given freely, it's earned, one strong opener at a time.
We'll leave you with this. Start bold. Start true. Start with something that matters.
Because once you do, everything that follows becomes easier and a lot more powerful. Thanks for joining us on Newsletter Growth Lab. We'll see you in the next episode.